Once there were two brothers who lived next to each other in a small village in Vietnam. They had inherited two rice fields from their father. One field each, the same size, the same soil, the same water from the same river. Their father had measured them carefully before he died to make sure they were exactly equal. The older brother was named Min. He was a quiet, careful man. He woke up early, worked hard, and never wasted anything. He saved his rice after every harvest, and only sold what he did not need. The younger brother was named Duke. He was cheerful and generous, and never thought very much about tomorrow. After every harvest, he gave rice to his neighbors, cooked big meals for anyone who came to his door, and by the time the next planting season arrived, he usually had almost nothing left. Every year, Min shook his head at his brother. He had watched Duke do this since they were young men, and it made him tired in a particular way that only a careful person can feel when watching a careless one. "Duke," he said, "you give everything away. One bad harvest, and you will have nothing." "One bad harvest, and my neighbors will help me," said Duke. "They always do." "You cannot rely on other people," said Min. "I rely on them because I help them," said Duke. "It is not the same thing as needing them." Min did not agree, but he said nothing more because they had had this conversation many times, and it never went anywhere new. The years passed, and every year was the same. Duke gave, Min saved. The neighbors ate well at Duke's table and nodded politely at Min on the road. Both brothers grew older, and the rice fields grew the same rice they had always grown, and nothing changed until one year, when everything changed a little. That year the rains came late, the river dropped, the rice grew slowly and thin. When harvest time came, both brothers looked at their fields and knew it was not a good year. Min harvested what he had and counted it carefully. It was less than usual, but he had savings from previous years. He would be fine. Duke harvested his field and counted his rice. It was not enough. He had given away so much after the last harvest that his savings were very small. He sat outside his house and looked at his rice, and did some thinking, which he did not usually do until it was necessary. He was not afraid. His neighbors would help him. They always did. What he did not know was that it had been a bad year for everyone in the village. Every family had less than usual. His neighbors came to him one by one that week, not to bring rice, but to ask if he had any to spare. He gave what he could. By the end of the week, he had very little left. He sat outside his house again and did some more thinking, which was harder than it looked. The truth was that he was not worried about himself. He had done this before. He was worried about the families he had already given rice to this week, who had thanked him and gone home, and were now in the same situation he was in, only without a careful brother next door. Then he went to his brother's house. Min opened the door and looked at him. "I know what you're going to say," said Min. "I need to borrow some rice," said Duke. "I will pay you back after next harvest with extra." Min looked at him for a long moment. "I told you this would happen," he said. "Yes," said Duke. Min went inside. He came back with a large bag of rice. He put it in his brother's hands. "Pay me back when you can," he said. "Not with extra, just the same amount." Duke thanked him and went home. That evening, Min sat in his house and felt, if he was honest, a little pleased with himself. He had been right. He had saved carefully, and his brother had given everything away. And now his brother needed help. This was exactly what he had always said would happen. He sat with this feeling for a while. Then, slowly, without quite meaning to, he began to think about the village. He thought about his neighbors coming to Duke's door. He thought about Duke giving away his last rice to people who had nothing. He thought about all the years of big meals and open doors and rice given freely after every harvest. He thought about his own house, where nobody had knocked this week. Not one neighbor had come to Min's door. They all knew he had rice, but nobody had knocked. He sat there for a long time, thinking about why this was. In the morning, he went to his brother's house. Duke was cooking breakfast with the borrowed rice. "Min," said Duke, surprised. "Come in." Min came in and sat down. He watched his brother cook. After a while, he said, "Why did nobody come to my door this week?" Duke looked at the pot. He was quiet for a moment. "They were afraid you would say no," he said. "I would not have said no," said Min. "I know," said Duke. "But they did not know that." Min thought about this. He had saved carefully for many years. He had never wasted anything. He had always been there next door with a full storeroom, and nobody had knocked. "What about a nice cup of tea?" said Duke, because his brother had a look on his face that needed time to pass. They drank tea together. Outside, the village was waking up. Smoke was rising from other houses. A dog was barking somewhere. Children were going past on the road. "Duke," said Min, "after the next harvest, come to my house first." Duke looked at him. "Why?" "Because I am going to have a meal," said Min, "for the neighbors." Duke looked at his brother for a moment. Then he looked back at his tea. "Good," he said. "I will bring the rice." They sat together until the tea was finished. Then Min went back to his house. He opened the door of his storeroom and looked at his rice, neatly stacked, carefully counted, saved over many years. It was a lot of rice. It was, now that he thought about it, more than one man needed. He closed the storeroom and went outside and stood in the morning sun. His neighbor was crossing the road with a bucket of water. She saw Min standing outside, which was unusual, and nodded at him. Min nodded back. "Good morning," he said. She looked at him with slight surprise. In many years of living next door, she could not remember him starting a conversation. "Good morning," she said. She kept walking. Min went back inside. He had a lot to do before the next harvest. He was not entirely sure where to start. He supposed he would begin by learning, at the age of 43, how to knock on a neighbor's door for no reason at all. It seemed like a small thing. He suspected it was not. He went inside and started on his work for the day. And outside, the village went on as it always had, full of people who needed things and people who had things, and the long, slow business of learning that these were not two separate groups.